Hey, welcome to DA Wrestling. How you guys all doing? This Canadian Wrestling YouTube guy, Andrew, here to talk to you guys. So, on this new show here, we're going to talk today of the sad news of the death of Hulk Hogan. I know some people don't really want to, some people are pouring in tributes and some people are showing a lot of hate. I understand that. There's lots of reasons why people do hate him. But hey, guys, this is here more like a just talk about Hulk Hogan because I know I was a Hulkamaniac growing up. That's just a fact. Right? But before we get more into it, though, guys, remember this is DA Wrestling. I'm Andrew, Canadian YouTube guy. Let's get going. Okay, on the show, like I said, we're going to talk about Hulk Hogan, right? Huge influence on the entire wrestling industry is undeniable. Before getting further, though, guys, make sure you like, share, subscribe down below. I appreciate all. We appreciate everything you guys do for us here by subscribing, right? Following us, all those things. We appreciate it all. We thank you very much. Make sure you click that subscribe button, guys. We appreciate you. All the new watchers there. We have a lot of content also on the YouTube page there. Take a look at it, right? We got top IC champs of all time, top WrestleManias of all time, a couple shorts there you might like. Take a look, guys. Feel free. Anyway, let's talk Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan today passed away at 71 years of age, right, due to apparent cardiac arrest. Right, more details are still to come, but the outpouring support and tributes that people have been coming out for Hulk Hogan, like me, right, are going to do is huge, right? Now, despite the fact that Hulk Hogan, for a lot of people for the past number of years, has been considered to be not the greatest person, right? Keep in mind, there's Terry Bollea, then there's Hulk Hogan, right? Hulk Hogan is the person that we're talking about, not Terry Bollea, even though they're both intertwined, right? But Hulk Hogan is undeniable the things that he's done, right? He was the reason WWE or WWF at the time blew up, right? If you could argue that if it wasn't for someone like Hulk Hogan, you wouldn't have someone like The Rock or John Cena or Dave Batista or other wrestlers who have dabbled in acting. You could argue it, right? Hulk Hogan, to me, being born in 1982, growing up during the blow up of what became WWF at the time, eventually WWE, right, was a huge thing for me. I was a massive Hulk Hogan fan growing up. I had a Hulk Hogan wrestling buddy, right? Hulk Hogan was the man, you know. I mean, I had other people who I enjoy too, like Wayne Gretzky, Kelly Grew for the Blue Jays. I know Kelly Grew for the Blue Jays, right? George Bell for the Blue Jays, Dave Steve for the Blue Jays, a lot of Blue Jays, right? You know, guys like Troy Aikman for the Dallas Cowboys, Bo Jackson. But Hulk Hogan was in wrestling the one all end all. He defined a generation, I guess, of people, if you want to call it that, right? A lot of people got into wrestling because of Hulk Hogan, right? Especially in the early 90s, right? Especially kids who were in the 80s growing up, wanting to become wrestlers. Hulk Hogan, Macho Man Randy Savage, those were the guys, right? The 90s, you had people like Shawn Michaels, Bret Hart, right? Hogan was already established at that point in time, right? He was in WCW doing Hollywood Hulk Hogan, well, first regular Hulk Hogan, Hulk is back to NWO, arguably one of the most influential groups of all time, right? If you ever get a chance to take a read of his book, Hulk Still Rules, I highly recommend go get it. You can probably get it in paperback at this point. Hulk Hogan was an icon, much like we just saw recently of the death of Ozzy Osbourne. And even more recently, too, around the same period of time, for the past number of days, some people may or may not, um, Malcolm Jamal Warner or Theo Huxtable from the Cosbys. So we lost three people in the past 3 to 4 days, who some of us that grew up with. I know I grew up with the Cosbys. You know, um, so I grew up in the '80s. So I mean, the Cosbys were a big thing. Hulk Hogan was a massive thing, right? The ongoing support, people like Ric Flair talking about him, right? His friend. Even Bruce the Barber Beefcake posts some stuff on social media too about he wished he could have mended the fences with Hogan before everything ended. You know, he was starting up a new company with I think it was called uh, Real Action Wrestling or Real Wrestling or something like, some kind of thing like that with Eric Bischoff, who they were just trying to get a TV deal. Who knows what's going to happen with that now? Hulk Hogan was a name. Sure, the last time you saw him at the debut of Netflix, he got booed out of the building. But that's because people don't like him for the things that he did over the past number of years. So some of a lot of the rants that came out, the very racist rants, and a lot of people, a lot of things that came out too, that he held a lot of wrestlers down. But to be honest with you, with despite all those things, Hulk Hogan was still considered the greatest wrestler of well, I wouldn't say wrestler, but greatest sports entertainer of all time. When you think about it, you look at the number of sales, and Vince McMahon knew him. Vince McMahon even came out of hiding and posted something on Hulk Hogan. He kind of had to. Hulk Hogan, to me, like I said, was that man. Well, he was the guy. You know, watching WrestleMania 3, slamming Andre the Giant. I got to watch it on video because I was still too young still at the time when it came out. But I got to be and watch WrestleMania 6, the Ultimate Challenge in Toronto at the Sky Dome against the Ultimate Warrior. Two of my favorites. Hulk Hogan was by far my favorite by a landslide, but I did like the Ultimate Warrior. You know, and Hulk Hogan the way he left, after giving the title to the Ultimate Warrior. Obviously came out later on. They probably never should have done it. Right? His match with Sergeant Slaughter at WrestleMania 7. When Slaughter was doing the whole turncoat thing. With the whole side with the side of Iraq. Right? Very big controversial thing. A lot of things happened with Sergeant Slaughter at that point in time. Hulk Hogan was there, to take the title back to kind of clear everything for Sergeant Slaughter. I guess if you want to look at it that way. You know, then eventually, moving to WCW, right? Becoming the world champion there, having a match with Ric Flair, winning the world title very quickly. Them strapping everything on to Hulk Hogan to push them. And then when things weren't working out with Hogan, Kevin Nash came in, Scott Hall came in, right? Bash the Beach, Hulk Hogan, Third Man, New World Order has been created and went on for years in the world of wrestling in WCW. Then Hulk Hogan coming back to WWE, you know, with the NWO, having that match in Toronto with The Rock, the Icon versus Icon match. One of the few matches there where you literally had a turn before the match even started in Toronto. Like, a lot of people here, especially like in Canada, don't realize too is Hulk Hogan's impact on Canada. Hulk Hogan was huge in Canada. It's one of the reasons why he said before the interview, right? He loves Montreal, he loved Toronto because Hulk Hogan he was loved here by a lot of people. Because during that time when it was just the territory time, WWE or the WWE or WWF, which was Vince McMahon Sr., his territory was all New York to Madison Square Garden, right? Most of Maine, right? Most of Quebec, Ontario, and parts of Saskatchewan, Winnipeg. So I mean, you got Stampede Wrestling that's in the west of Canada, but Hogan primarily was huge in this area here. It's one of the reasons why. He wrestled people at Exhibition Stadium, where the Blue Jays used to play many, 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 many years ago. You know, so he is a big part of Canada. When you look at it, he really is. Despite what you may think of him as his later years, despite all those things, you cannot deny the fact what Hulk Hogan is to the world of wrestling. When people have a Mount Rushmore, right? Depending on your age, Mount Rushmore, you gotta throw Hogan on that. You cannot deny it. Like if I was to put a Mount Rushmore right now, my first two would probably be Hogan and Austin. Those are my first two. And I know it's something maybe people might say, oh, you might comment down below saying, well, it's very un-Canadian of you not to put Bret Hart on there. It has nothing to do with Bret Hart right now. It has everything to do with if you looked at people who made the money, who built WWE and put the WWE on their backs to make them what they are, Hogan and Austin are 1-2. You can't really deny it. No matter what people may think of Hulk Hogan, you cannot deny the fact that Hulk Hogan is on that Mount Rushmore, right? In the world of professional wrestling. Like if you want to get real technical, it's probably Austin, it's probably Hogan, Austin, Ric Flair, and either Shawn Mike or maybe probably even the Undertaker. If you want to get real technical, when you think about people who have made a massive impact, those four guys are on there. It's purely subjective too. It's completely subjective, and that's okay. That's why people have this whole Mount Rushmore thing. It's really hard to distinguish who should be there. But the biggest star at the time, and for the longest time, who transcended pop culture, much like Ric Flair, Hulk Hogan is that guy. Probably more so than Ric Flair, right? One of the greatest entertainers on the planet, the world professional wrestling is Hulk Hogan, right? When you say wrestler, a lot of people point to Ric Flair or Bret Hart or Shawn Michaels, right? But one of the great, you always talk to gimmicks, you're probably talking Undertaker, right? Or Kane, right? But Hulk Hogan's deniability in the world of professional wrestling is undeniable. He is by far, right? By far an icon more than anybody else. And it's sad to hear that he's gone. Despite the fact that people way he was maybe in his later years, the from the controversial racial red to the whole steroid trial with Vince McMahon to everything else that you saw in the Vince McMahon documentary with Hulk Hogan. If you take all that away and just look at his focus as wrestling and like who he was and what he did, you can't sit there and say anything else because he is by far probably number one, maybe number two, right? Because you can even juggle between Austin and Hogan, right? When Hogan came back, even had that match with Vince McMahon in Seattle, which also happened to be Stone Cold Steve Austin's last match, right? Piper was there, right? They're all were there, right? When you look at the people we've lost during that, the biggest people in the 80s in the world of wrestling, we've lost them all, for the most part. Hulk Hogan will be missed for a lot of reasons for a lot of people. You know, true people who have been wrestling fans for years, who grew up watching wrestling will always remember Hulk Hogan, despite all the things he had, all the problems he may have had. You know, this week's been a hard week for a lot of people. Ozzy Osbourne passed away. Hulk Hogan's passed away too. Like I said, Theo from the Cosbys. They're all gone. 1 week. Shocking. But Hulk Hogan to me, like I said, was like I said, he was my favorite wrestler growing up. As a young child, as I grew up, I got more to people, not really Hulk Hogan, but more like Stone Cold Steve Austin, Bret Hart, like people like that. Triple H. But my fundamentals for wrestling started with Hulk Hogan and always will be. And I will always hold a special place in my heart because for Hulk Hogan. And that's what people need to remember too. That Hulk Hogan isn't just a man, right? Right? Who's just became pop for no reason. He transcended a sport. He transcended an industry. He put an industry on his back. And if it wasn't for Hulk Hogan, the WWE might not be around now. It's cold hard truth. It's the cold hard truth. If it wasn't for Hulk Hogan and Mr. T at WrestleMania 1 against Roddy Piper and Bob Orton, and Paul Orndorff, what are you having? Hulk Hogan and Mr. T are the part of that, despite whether you like it or not. So, all the best to Hulk Hogan and his family. Hopefully everything's okay for you at this point in time. As shocking as it is to hear about Hulk Hogan passing away. And hopefully he's at rest. That's all I can say. Anyway, though, to some other stuff going on. Will Ospreay will be set to be out for a while till Forbidden Door. Apparently, currently has apparently a neck injury that he is suffering from. Apparently, from what I understand, also a herniated disc. He made that announcement on AEW Dynamite this week, so he'll be gone for a bit. Coming back at Forbidden Door. Hopefully, he's okay. Right? He might have to change his style up a little bit. Who knows, folks? Right? Also, right this week too. Right? Obviously, we had whole stuff with NXT going on this week and Raw, right? Big week coming up next week. We have sorry, not Royal Rumble, SummerSlam coming up too. We're coming to the end of SummerSlam. Lots of stuff about to go on, guys. Talk to you soon, maybe. All I really got to tell you about this too. Just want to post something out here about Hulk Hogan. Felt it needed to be done. All the best to you all, right? This is DA Wrestling, Canadian Wrestling YouTube guy, Andrew. Have yourself a good one. Peace out. Follow us on all our socials at DA Wrestling on X, YouTube, Spotify, as well as Podbean here. Follow us on DA on TikTok at DA Sports. We thank you very much. Have yourself a good one, everybody. See you later.